result against Wolves, 2-1 down with 2 minutes to play and end up winning in the 100th minute. The FA Cup is so special, and Newcastle, I'm sure, will have looked at that, and Eddie Howe might just have mentioned anything's possible.
Well, City's appetite for success is not easily sated. The prospect of a double treble still looms large. Although Real Madrid, as well as Newcastle, Liverpool and Arsenal, will have plenty to say about that, the travelling band will certainly make themselves heard in this great football theatre. It does have a touch of theatre about it sometimes. They do sometimes sit back and wait to be entertained, but they usually are. Well, no De Bruyne or Ederson, but formidable remains the only description for this Manchester City lineup, despite 5 changes from the Premier League cruncher with Liverpool last week. Diaz, Doku, Kovacic to control in midfield. Gvardiol continuing his recovery from an ankle ligament injury, starting at left back. And Stefan Ortega continues as the cup custodian in goal. Jack Grealish returns to the bench after injury. Well, Anthony Gordon's name is a welcome sight on the Newcastle team sheet after he left the Stamford Bridge stage early on Monday with knee pain. But after 2 days training, he's 100% fit, according to Eddie Howe. But a different role, it seems, today for the latest England call-up, as they appear to switch to a 3-man central defence, with Lascelles joining Botman and Schär in there. Jacob Murphy looks likely to operate as a wing-back. Well, it's such a joy so often to watch football here at the Etihad Stadium. Some indelible moments, some great memories, and, well, it's tough to win a treble. It's even tougher to retain it. But remarkably, as we head into the March international break, that's still a realistic prospect. Yeah, and you've got to say it's a phenomenal achievement to be still in this situation at this stage of the season, having done what they did last, with the opportunity, touching distance of Wembley again, the semi-final at Wembley. They have to, I think, be believing that it's possible once again. This man, Foden, I think has been in such sensational form. A lot hinges on him as we come to the business end of the season. Well, flourishing in a variety of positions, already achieved his best career goal return this season. The lesser spotted Newcastle captain, though, perhaps with a vital role to play, Jamal Lascelles, part of a central 3 in defence, we think. Well, welcome back, and you've got Erling Haaland that you have to deal with for Lascelles. I think there's going to be a physical battle between him and Haaland. It really is going to be fascinating how Newcastle hold that Manchester City threat. Simon Hooper has the privilege of presiding over this FA Cup 6th round tie. The stage is beautifully set. Supporters drawn from far and wide. Wonder who his favourite player is. Probably Oscar Bob. Yeah, and singing that anthem of Blue Moon. Well, the tie of the round is probably elsewhere in Manchester tomorrow, but this could well usurp it. Newcastle starved of genuine success for so long. This will bring back memories for those who have long ones of their last domestic triumph way back in 1955 against Manchester City at Wembley in the FA Cup. City, the trophies keep coming. Can they keep a hold on the FA Cup and reach a record 6th successive semi-final? Doku setting the tone, but keeping his eye on the ball, Jamal Lascelles.
Yeah, and interestingly, Lascelles starting right of the three central Newcastle defenders, Botman, Schär and Lascelles on the right side of the three.
Yes, that was a question mark about how they'd operate. It is 2 years almost to the day since they last set up with a back five in a match and a defeat at Chelsea in 2022.
Well, I think it will be for Murphy to engage early with Doku, and Botman will be almost a left wing back who will go and pick up Kyle Walker as he raised forward, or Silva if he starts on that right hand side. But as we know, Manchester City so fluid in terms of positions and where they actually turn up on the field at certain times.
Lascelles conceding a free kick in City territory.
Well, how will De Bruyne be missed? Sensational in that last round against Luton in providing the 4 assists of the 5 goals that Haaland scored.
It's Bernardo Silva with Walker outside. And relatively comfortable for Sven Botman.
Already you can see that Silva's going to come in off the line. Kyle Walker almost starting as a right winger for City, high on that right side.
Maybe Gordon is going to operate a little deeper than we might have anticipated. Has operated as a central striker, or a false 9 if you like, in Newcastle's regular 4-3-3. He won't get an opportunity there because of Gvardiol's intervention and the flag up against him anyway.
Yeah, he started right of Isak, which is interesting, but that's going to allow Walker to get forward on the right for City. There's De Bruyne up. Always missed in this City side, however successful they are, always a better team when he's out there.
So groin injury is the problem.
Well, interestingly, a high press from Newcastle right at the start. Lot of black and white shirts in that City half.
Pressure of a different sort from Botman yields a Manchester City free kick for Erling Haaland.
Yeah, the first of a number of confrontations, I'm sure, with that back three for Newcastle. Botman, knowing that he can't allow Haaland to spin in behind him, grabs him round the chest.
Well, all 3 of them are going to have to be up for a significant physical battle.
Yeah, I have to say, I thought he was sensational in the role that he played, not just the goals he scored against Luton. I thought he was physically powerful, the intelligent runs. He pinned the centre-half Mengi on a number of occasions, then span in behind that Luton defence to get on the exquisite De Bruyne passes. I have to say, it was a night where he was literally unplayable. It's a brave start from Newcastle. Very, very high press.
Well, it's perhaps a night to be bold. It's not quite their season tonight because they still have an opportunity to claim a European place through the league, but there is absolutely no question that it is, at the very least, a key game, an opportunity to be seized, and they're taking it in that spirit where they possibly can. Oh! Well, Diaz will tell you he had it all under control, but he certainly would have given a few jitters to those looking on.
Yeah, and in the end, a really important interception, a wonderful ball into the run of Isak. Got to say, aggressive start on the front foot from Newcastle. He's just acknowledging that pass there. You can see might well have been offside had he got onto the through pass. He has tidies it up for City. Great tempo to the start of this game.
Both entering it in very much the right spirit, and Isak will give chase, but Akanji is in command of the situation.
And I do think that's where they carry a little threat, Newcastle. They break the play up and quickly play the ball forward, try to find their two-pronged attack. Isak and Gordon, when they first get in possession of the ball, have to look forward and even play longer forward just to try to play into City where they're disruptive in the shape of their defence.
Bernardo Silva, Walker ever willing.
Oh, trying to find Haaland, slight deflection off of Burn in that left-back position.
It's the 10th time these two have been paired in the FA Cup, and it might surprise you this, but Newcastle have come out on top 6 times in the previous 9. This is Haaland. And it was left by Lascelles, afforded an opportunity for Foden to pick up.
Oh, an uncharacteristically poor pass from Rodri there. But on this occasion, Haaland trying to just cut that ball back through the 6-yard box for the arriving Foden, who comes from a slightly deeper position, always difficult to pick up. He loves the competition, I'm sure he does. I'm not sure who he's supporting.
I'm not sure whether he's supposed to be here. That might be the reason for that. This is Gvardiol. Doku. Rodri with the incisive ball. Foden with lovely work. But Murphy, who's got a key defensive job tonight, doing enough.
And does brilliantly, because he reads the run of Doku. Fabulous pass into the feet of Foden. On the half-turn, receives it, slides it into the run of Doku, who's onside, but Murphy tracks him well and just eases him away from the ball. That's brilliant defensive work from Murphy in that right wing-back position.
Born in Wembley, the Murphy twins. Still the Towers in those days, just about. Oh, potential here for Isak. Potential snuffed out by Akanji.
Yeah, quickly engaged with Isak. Worked the ball well, left down the left-hand side, did Newcastle.
Here's Doku, clear and present danger. And Newcastle committing plenty of bodies ahead of the ball. Were not to pay a price for it on that occasion.
Oh, brilliant long leg from Botman.
Oh, and Isak just checked his run.
Game sweeping from end to end. Really fast and furious start.
Guimaraes with his first real cameo. But that will be a concerning sight.
Yeah, his right ankle. You can see maybe caught as that Newcastle counter-attack was unfolding. City go 3 against 2 here. Haaland left, Foden right, and a long leg stuck out by Botman. So important to deny Doku feeding Phil Foden on that right side.
Every contribution of that nature could be critical. Pep Guardiola, a great admirer of the contribution Kovacic can make in helping Manchester City control games.
Dan, I definitely think he's seen something there, the way that he was orchestrating Kovacic and what he's looking for him to produce.
Walker.
Burns done well. Just having to track Kyle Walker, who's getting very high on that right-hand side for Manchester City. Talked about the 2 wing-backs for Newcastle. Murphy on the right, Burn on the left. Already really good confrontations. They probably feel 3 against 1, they've got a chance. And only a slight one, though.
The odds are still against. Gvardiol.
I do think he's been the first choice for Pep Guardiola in that left wing-back position for City. Gvardiol missed out with an ankle for a few weeks.
Doku, roving commission.
But you see Gvardiol at the bottom of your screen, high from the left-back position. Going to try and cover that far post if anything comes this side.
Rodri seeking Gvardiol out. A bit of space to operate within. Kovacic. Rodri. And Byrne was tracking Walker all the way. Kovacic.
Yeah, a little bit of a pattern setting in the game now. Controlled possession from City. The massed ranks of Newcastle across the width of the 18-yard box.
Bernardo Silva trying to find that little bit of space, and he found a little bit of luck as well. Might have been a double deflection.
Well, he had too much space, did Bernardo Silva, and he was allowed just to wander into the 18-yard box. And it's a right-footed shot that takes a wicked deflection. Dubravka has absolutely no chance in that Newcastle goal. But they'll be really disappointed, Newcastle, in that they haven't engaged with him outside of the box and earlier. Because as soon as he picks it up, he has about 8 yards to walk into and into the 18-yard box. You can see the line on the defensive line on the 18-yard line, but look at the space he has. And then Byrne backs away. They're too slow to engage, and it hits Byrne on the back of the heel. And up and over Dubravka. Absolutely no chance for the Newcastle keeper. But for me, they haven't engaged quickly enough to stop Bernardo Silva taking the shot.
I'll give them the time. They will use it to devastating effect. Via Byrne, a breakthrough goal. And the holders are where they want to be. Whether Bernardo Silva is ultimately the name that goes in the record books against it will be a source of debate.
I think it's an own goal. It really is it's a strike, obviously at goal, but the deflection from Byrne. Unfortunate for Eddie Howe and his team. The way they started the game, opening 10 minutes, I think really bright. And real disappointment to go behind in that manner.
Well, he spoke after the game at Chelsea on Monday night about the first effort on target, about the goals almost coming in sort of isolated circumstances, an error almost coming out of nowhere, costing them, and to an extent that goes down as one, doesn't it?
It goes down as a defensive error, yes, just purely because they gave Bernardo Silva too much time, space to get into the 18-yard box and fire the shot away.
And Haaland didn't have a lot of room using Kovacic, and Haaland will get there, will he? Well, didn't get enough on it, and so Dubravka able to gratefully grab it.
Yeah, clever Kovacic pass, lifting it over the top. Haaland trying to bear down on it. I think he got a left boot to it, but in the end, Dubravka manages to grab the loose ball.
What effect is that going to have on Newcastle?
Well, we've seen a couple of times as well where Newcastle pressing high that Ortega's prepared to go straight and long into Haaland, as the focal point and as a centre forward. As we see this clever little Kovacic flick, he's onside, he just touches it with the outside of his left boot, does Haaland, but can't take it round the advancing Dubravka.
Murphy. That took an awkward hop, skip and a jump for Ortega.
Ortega nearly came under it, I have to say.
Well, it was almost an inglorious moment for the deputy goalkeeper. Foul on Haaland, but the game will go on.
Yeah, strong sharp challenge on Haaland.
This is Doku. Kovacic.
Yeah, Haaland is up, although he's just hobbling back, asking the referee, Simon Hooper, whether it should have been a penalty.
Well, the yellow card brandished to share for the, presumably, the challenge on Haaland.
Yeah, this challenge, a late one from behind, you can see. I think he plays the ball, and that's exactly what he's pointing at. I think he does. I think he's a little bit unfortunate there to pick up a yellow for that.
So, in the sense of letting the game go on, a good bit of refereeing, although Cher will not see it that way ultimately.
No, good advantage, but I think unfortunate. Eddie Howe would feel that as well, because he certainly come through around the side of Haaland, but played the ball for me.
Well, he will inevitably, you think, get his big moment in front of goal.
Oh, there's no doubt. He'll get a chance or two.
Five goals at Luton. Not the first Manchester City player to go goal crazy at Kenilworth Road in the FA Cup, but he was a little more fortunate than the previous one. The great Dennis Law once scored 6 goals in an FA Cup match at Luton, but finished on the losing side because, leading 6-2, the game was abandoned with 20 minutes to go. They lost the rearranged match.
So, do they count? 06?
Not in the record books, no. I'm afraid. No.
Well, Newcastle frustrated, thought they should have, or had won a corner there.
Willock back on the scene. And every club gets injuries, but Newcastle are a team that have been hit particularly hard this year. And even out there tonight, I mean, it's the case for every team at this stage of the season. People will be carrying knocks, but there are a few out there who, in almost any other circumstances, wouldn't be playing.
Yeah, and I think it really is a test of how deep your squad is.
Bruno Guimaraes. On with it quickly, and Isak hoping to get away, and right on the edge there with Ruben Diaz. Guimaraes out to Murphy. Some momentum here for Newcastle. Longstaff forcing a corner.
Well, clever free kick from Guimaraes. I'm sure there was an understanding with Isak then. He sort of free kicks just inside City's half. He puts it down, plays it quickly, and is nearly in behind Diaz.
So the first corner of the game goes the way of Newcastle, who pride themselves on their work from set pieces.
Yeah, I think they carry a threat, certainly at corners, a real aerial threat.
To the back post this time. Byrne hoping to pick up the seconds, but Simon Hooper, attention being drawn to an offside.
As it was headed back from that far post area. Offside in that, just outside that 6-yard box.
They've had some success with some creative work from the dead ball situations this season, Newcastle. And Jason Tindall, Eddie Howe's long-time assistant, looks after the defensive set plays. There's ideas from anywhere really for the attacking ones. Though Tindall has a strong hand in all of that. Ball taken out of play.
Well, 20 minutes in, game just slowing down a little after what was a frenetic start. Some fortune about the way that Manchester City have taken the lead, but no change in Newcastle's approach. You can see bold and brave, pressing high, forcing Ortega to go long towards Doku and Haaland.
This is Kovacic. Walker flying forward. Let's share away.
I think Foden was the target. Again, there was just a slight deflection on the Walker cross.
Worked out okay for Botman. Burn forward. Isak.
Oh, nearly broke the challenge and was looking to feed that ball into Gordon's run.
Oh, Gordon scenting an opportunity. Pass had enough legs on it for Ortega to intervene successfully. Some good work there by Phil Foden. That's the other side.
Oh yes, incredible the way that they, when they do turn possession over, how quickly they try to win it back, Manchester City. Sometimes a skill that's overlooked. You can see again, Doku in field, Gvardiol getting high on the left-hand side.
Proper winger, as Pepper's described him, playing more like an inside forward at the moment.
Well, 1-0 up, City taking control of possession, quite happy to move the ball across the field, trying to stretch that Newcastle defence.
Bernardo Silva driving on again, finding Rodri. This is Walker.
Oh, just taking control of the game with their possession. Controlled possession.
An awkward ball for Kovacic there, though. And
Longstaff does well to regain possession for Newcastle.
And they have to use these opportunities, and Guimaraes with a penetrative pass once again.
Yeah, two passes from Guimaraes that was just a fraction off. First one intercepted by Gvardiol, the second one just Willett coming off the left-hand side, couldn't get on.
But he's got Murphy in here.
Well, the idea is right from Murphy, firing that ball in behind City's defence with Isak bearing down on goal.
City, you sense, just towing the accelerator in response as Foden finds Doku.
Yeah, at times they go from this possession-based walking game, just so explosive on the counter.
Bernardo Silva, Foden. By Akanji and Gvardiol. Walker. Foden.
Well, wild from Foden, which I don't think pleases his manager.
A bit of a collector's item.
Well, here's the goal. Silva given, I think, too much time and space to wander into that Newcastle penalty box. And then when Burns sticks out a leg off his heel and up and over, the desperate Dubravka could do nothing about it. Burn own goal.
The change in direction of the ball is hugely significant, isn't it? Murphy with a despairing lunge as well, as the old cliche goes. Thought he might have got a toe on it as well at first, but definitely squirted off Burn. Gordon chasing. Diaz intervened on that occasion. This is Doku. Fleet of foot. But that's one way to stop him, and it'll come at a cost, that, from Jamal Lascelles. He will go into the book as well.
Yeah, I just felt he had to do it, because all of a sudden Doku breaking the lines, running at that Newcastle defence. The next option is the pass for the on-running Haaland. And you can see Lascelles' desperation. Hand round the neck, pulls him back, yellow card. Two of the three central defenders now for Newcastle on yellows.
Long way to go as well. Second set-piece opportunity follows swiftly on the heels of the first.
Yeah, decent Foden ball, because that's in behind that Newcastle defence, dropping back towards their goal. Cannot afford to let it go, have to make contact and concede a corner.
Haaland rises.
Well, unmarked Haaland, always dangerous, powerful header. Lascelles got in the way of it.
Set piece work to such devastating effect for them at Anfield. Different variation on this occasion.
You can see Simon Hooper there talking to VAR, just communicating with the boys back in Stockley.
It's Thomas Bramall and Jared Gillett, along with Neil Davis, providing the extra pairs of eyes. Doku.
Who's been effective being infield rather than wide in this opening half an hour.
You get the sense he's enjoying it. This is Foden.
Sharp block.
Able to get the shot away, but the cannon a little kinder this time for Newcastle. Gvardiol. Kovacic.
You can see the space is wide down the sides of the 18-yard box. The black and white shirts trying to block it up.
He's got a shot away again! Bernardo Silva!
Is there another deflection? I think there might well be, the way that Dubravka dives and the ball goes on the inside of him. He's furious.
Well, the old saying, if you don't buy a ticket, certainly is applying for Bernardo Silva tonight.
Oh, Dubravka was furious, and I think it's come off a Botman this time. Just the way he throws himself away to the right, and the ball actually goes inside him. Another Bernardo Silva shot. Again, look at the space. They don't engage quickly enough, and yet just the slightest of touches off of Botman. As a left-footed strike this time is deflected inside the goalkeeper. 2 own goals. Manchester City 2-0 up.
Well, when your luck's in, your luck's in. And Newcastle's isn't. Bernardo Silva's certainly is.
Well, he's not on a hat-trick, although he is on a hat-trick. He'll be claiming them both, but 2 deflections. First off a Burn, second off a Botman. Manchester City, the cup holders, in a really strong position after half an hour here in this quarter-final.
Last time the two teams met in the FA Cup, it was a 2-0 victory for Manchester City. At St James's Park 4 years ago.
It's a very long way back for Newcastle from this situation. 2-0 up City, you would imagine, will now control the tempo of the game as much as they can.
Those who've read their history books will know that Newcastle did once come from 2 down to win an FA Cup tie at Main Road back in the 50s. They won 5-4 on that occasion. And Bob Stokoe scored an own goal. Future manager of Sunderland, winning the FA Cup memorably in 1973.
But I have to say, such a poor run of form that Newcastle have here. I think it's 15 defeats in 16 games. And it's going to be a mighty task now to turn this around.
Actually 3-0 down on that occasion, way back when.
Dan, I know I'd be claiming them because there'd be 2 shots, or I would feel 2 attempted shots on target. But I have to say that the 2 deflections took a massive part in the ball ending up in the back of the net. I would have to call them own goals.
I think we found out where you draw the line.
A shot on target deflected for me should be the striker's goal. Not sure the first one was, when Burn deflected it. Second one might well have been on target, and the touch from Botman sent the goalkeeper the wrong way. But I've got to say also, 2 for me poor defensive mistakes from Newcastle in not engaging quickly enough with Silva, allowing him to come from outside of the box into the box to fire those shots in.
Can't say they weren't warned on the second one either.
What's so difficult now for Newcastle is when Manchester City keep the ball in this manner, although you're trying to close down, you're making 5-10 yard runs to try to press the ball, they control it, they move it. It is so difficult and tiring as well.
Burn very well forward. Now Murphy. Burn imposes himself on Isak.
Big chance for Isak, sweeping the left foot volley. It's a fine save from Ortega, away to his left-hand side. Really strong hand. It actually came about from a sloppy Ortega pass that gave Newcastle possession. And that man, Isak, knows that's the best chance Newcastle have had. Deep cross, Burns up, nods it back to Isak on the penalty spot. It's a decent strike, but it's a really strong left-handed save from Ortega.
Well, is that the one moment he's going to be reliving all night?
That is a big chance, best chance for Newcastle. First shot on target.
Hope of profit from this free kick.
Really high City line.
Haaland. Just asking a little too much of Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, a puff of the cheeks from Bernardo Silva. I think Isak knows that is a massive moment for him and for Newcastle. Burns stays forward and it's a good headed down to the penalty spot. Sweeping left foot volley. I'm not so sure that Ortega saw a lot of it with Diaz in front of him. That's a fine save.
In the context of the cup tie, a crucial one. Doku. Oh, he's revelling in the central role.
Yeah, and he's been really elusive. He's picking the ball up, he's running at that Newcastle defence. They're finding it very, very difficult to actually get anybody to mark him. He feed the ball, you see he's demanding it in that pocket and then skips past a couple of challenges before firing the shot high and wide. I can't recall him playing in that position this season.
Well, it's not an unusual story in possession terms by any stretch.
Well, just about double possession of the ball for Manchester City. That's unsurprising here at home.
Newcastle can at least take some comfort from the fact that they've shown they can create a threat from that limited amount. It's very easy, I suppose, when the manner of the goals they've conceded, that heads drop, and you think even with more than half the game and possibly more, with it being played to a finish regardless tonight, that it's just not going to be a day.
Yeah, especially when it happens twice. I think disappointingly they would have felt they've started the game on the front foot. They've caused one or two little problems for Manchester City, but then the way they defended those two situations, and Bernardo Silva has been allowed those strikes, they'll be really disappointed going in at half-time if it stays this way.
Kovacic. Policing there by Longstaff, prevent it from reaching Haaland. Murphy. Forward by Lascelles. Rodri. This is Walker.
Well, as the game wears on, you'll see how influential Rodri and Kovacic are in the two holding midfield players who would just make City tick from that position.
Oh, beautiful bit of skill from Phil Foden.
Well, Guimaraes does really well to track Phil Foden. The touch initially was quite brilliant on the half turn. the way he drags the ball forward to make the run in on goal. Gvardiol's pass, that touch is sensational, but Guimaraes tracks him back and just does enough to put him off. But look at this, with his back to goal, heels it past Sharp. Guimaraes really sharp and aware to track him back and deny him a clear strike at goal.
Well, even Pep Guardiola was extolling Bruno Guimaraes' virtues in the build-up to the game.
Well, that was invaluable defensive work from him. A third goal before half-time.
Which may yet come. It's Haaland looking to make progress. Jeremy Doku, another deflection this time, takes it behind.
Yeah, off of Lascelles, the Newcastle captain. Great touch from Haaland. And then when Foden feeds it back to Haaland, he's aware of Doku's run, skips back inside onto his favoured right foot, and it's Lascelles who sticks out a right leg to make the block, and the deflection this time goes away for a corner kick.
And that's down Dubravka's throat. A success from a set piece that secured victory at Tottenham in round 4, when we saw a bit of a different side to Manchester City.
Yeah, we certainly did. I was at that game, and the way that City went about nullifying Spurs' threat that night was something I hadn't seen before in Manchester City. They got the job done, and that's why they're here. That's why they're staring the opportunity of a semi-final.
Coventry City have already claimed their place.
Don't go there, please. I know the last time they were in a semi-final, and I know what happened in the final.
Again, whipped into that near post area.
Just once again, though, Dan, it is the magic of the FA Cup. 2-1 down in the 88th minute, and they win it in the 100th minute. Coventry City today against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Incredible.
And at Wembley for a second successive year, having lost so agonisingly in the playoff final against Luton. And they could yet be in the playoffs again this year. Although Norwich and Hull are looking at the moment stronger contenders for that 6th place in England's second tier.
Oh, fantastically competitive is the Championship. But Mark Robins has done a magnificent job in taking them to the semi-final.
Well, Doku could be in again. Dubravka out swiftly and sufficiently to deny him.
Yeah, it does well, the Newcastle goalkeeper, to leave his 6-yard box quickly. Doku with his pace again, he's in behind Lascelles, and that's a good block from Dubravka.
Closing in on the end of the first half, where City have enjoyed a bit of fortune and have also been the controlling force in the game. It's Foden's delivery, looking for Haaland once more, and Diaz is there, but so is Dubravka, and Newcastle are still alive.
Yeah, Diaz and Gvardiol's there, as Haaland again unmarked at the back post, heads back into the 6-yard box.
To a minimum of 2 added minutes. Nothing untoward, as Bruno Guimaraes felt in Jeremy Doku's challenge.
Yeah, he felt there was a couple of infringements before he actually fell over and handled the ball. This is the chance. Haaland again heading back across. Diaz just in front of Gvardiol. And Dubravka smart save.
Manchester United for a spell, we shouldn't forget. Martin Dubravka, which meant that he couldn't feature in last season's League Cup final for Newcastle. So he was cup tied. A bit of playing to the gallery there from Bruno Guimaraes to the nigh on 8,000 Newcastle fans. Longstaff's pocket picked. Playing through a foot problem at the moment. City slip nearly afforded Newcastle a chance.
There's a poor Highland pass, and then all of a sudden Walker's tidied it up and they counter again, City.
This is Doku. Moving for the return from Kovacic.
He's been bright, Doku, in his first half, he really has.
Well, his threat at least briefly neutralised.
Oh, left foot stamped on by Shah there.
Being drawn to the referee's attention. A slightly anxious hush descends, or is it just that many have departed for half-time refreshment?
Well, no, I think there would always be alarm when Haaland looks to be injured, but a wonderful Manchester City first half led by this man, Bernardo Silva. 2 strikes deflected, 2-0 lead.
Yes, Dan Burn, and the later misfortune from Sven Botman, leaving Martin Dubravka with no hope of keeping either out. A grip tight for the holder with. Well, Newcastle's prospects of a trophy this season fading fast here. It's a phrase we have oft repeated in the last 50-odd years, but this is their chance. They've got to find a way in the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the options open to Eddie Howe from the bench. Almiron is obviously the one that could impact this Newcastle team. I wonder how long it is before he starts to make some changes, just to see if he can change the course of this game.
Opting to go with a back 5, and Almiron's position on the bench probably really to accommodate Jacob Murphy's presence on the right side of that defensive unit.
Yeah, there is a point in the game where you just have to take a massive chance, especially in the FA Cup. And I wonder, Almiron, who does work tirelessly on that right-hand side, is probably more offensive than Murphy.
He has played right back at various points in the past. We've expected to be in closer proximity to that gentleman, Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, but the positions Doku took up in that first half, more in the centre of the field, caused Newcastle all sorts of problems.
Newcastle conceding possession. Their very vocal away contingent are gathered behind the goal they're defending. The atmosphere has changed a little on Tyneside. There's plenty of criticism around the team and the coaching staff at the moment. Doku, oh, lovely piece of play! And Dubravka there to deny him, but brilliant combination between Doku and Foden.
Wonderful pass. Doku playing the 1-2, following the pass, brilliantly returned by Foden, and then the cross shot tipped away brilliantly by Dubravka.
Well, when he's had a chance, he's done his job tonight, the Newcastle goalkeeper.
Yeah, had no chance with the goals. Made a couple of really important stops to keep Newcastle's faint hopes alive.
Doku into Foden again. Kovacic. Gvardiol.
Well, the problem now for Newcastle is how do you get the ball back? City will just keep popping it around. They won't force it. They don't need to force it. In the end, they just draw you out of position and expose any weakness that you might leave defensively.
Kovacic for City. Rodri. Kovacic again.
Well, here they go. Kovacic, Rodri just commanding the whole tempo of the game at this stage.
All in their own time.
Yeah, absolutely. In no rush to force it.
Bernardo Silva. Doku on the other side.
Yeah, taking on Willett, come over to the right-hand side for the first time, Doku.
A little bit of relief for Newcastle. Well, in a cameo role, he did get an FA Cup goal against Huddersfield. The first hurdle for Pep's team to negotiate as they seek to retain the FA Cup.
I think you're looking at Pep Guardiola, who looks reasonably relaxed. His body language is, he looks comfortable with the situation his team find themselves in. Eddie Howe, on the other hand, looks a little uptight, a little stressed. How do they work their way back into this FA Cup tie?
Foden brings Gvardiol into it. Kovacic. As the Croatians come to the fore, but just beat Kyle Walker, who will always get there as quick as he can.
Oh, exceptionally quick is Kyle Walker. I'm not sure he's that happy.
Wasn't a rapturous reaction. Well, he's been spoilt probably in his young days as a supporter so far.
Absolutely.
Murphy showing some ambition here. Gvardiol tidying up.
Yeah, good defensive work. Tenacious Gvardiol to win the ball back and keep possession.
We saw signs of this in the first few minutes. City comfortably playing their way out of the pressure situation. This is Haaland. Haaland's hungry. Oh, and we thought that was going to be another moment to treasure.
Well, as soon as he opens up on that favoured left foot, you're just expecting him to wind it into the bottom corner. Actually come about from a slight mistake from Ortega in his own penalty box, but City played out, played through, and Haaland's just got one thing in his mind, driving at Shah, opening up and trying to wind it into that bottom corner. In the end, he's just a fraction off. But how quickly they go from one end of the field to the other.
It's always a question a team asks coming here, isn't it? I mean, do you go and press them?
Yeah, well, it's always a risk because you know that City are more than capable of playing from their own penalty box to your penalty box very quickly and efficiently. You have to be so collectively strong and together to go and press City high.
Gordon. Oh, into trouble. Bruno Guimaraes, this is Rodri. Botman eyes on the ball.
Yeah, and it's Rodri doing well to quickly intercept and drive forward. Botman in the end denies him crossing into the path of Haaland. Just feel a third goal now would wrap this FA Cup tie up for Manchester City.
Dubravka gets there. Bernardo Silva keeping things moving, and he'll get it back here. Murphy defending it, and Akanji got the flick. It's not away convincingly, and Gvardiol having a swing.
And ricochets off the Lascelles. It's actually another Silva cross that's deflected and goes into the danger area. Watch this, up and into the danger area. They don't clear their lines particularly well here. And Gvardiol's shot blocked by Lascelles. I think that's on its way. Yeah, it is. And the Newcastle captain deflects it away.
Well, the couple of deflections off the Newcastle captain have ended safely, or landed safely from a Newcastle perspective. Some tenacity there from Murphy, but offside anyway against Foden. We did say in one of those unguarded moments at the beginning of the season that if things did not go well and they had a challenging opening set of fixtures, the tone was set early, then he was concerned that the extra expectation after their accomplishments last year, if they didn't live up to them, it could lead to a bit of toxicity in the air. It's beginning to happen, unfortunately.
Well, it's just going to be all in the Premier League pot now to see where they can end up if they can qualify for Europe once again come the end of the season. It won't be Champions League, European football. You have to feel that the expectation would be to be in Europe come the end of the season for Newcastle United.
Well, can they fashion a chance here? It's Isak. Maybe a possibility for Big Dan Burn.
Chance to shoot, and he passed it up, did Burn. Just the way that ball's laid back, I feel it's there to be hit. He opts to pass, and the chance is passed up. Isak, you can see on the shoulder of Akanji, and then in the end he's trying to find the shooting angle, but in the end rolls it. That's a lovely set for Dan Burn to hit first time. His frustration because of that commits the foul on Walker.
An FA Cup goal scorer this season, indeed a couple of goals against his old club Fulham during this campaign. An opportunity passed up as Haaland is caught offside. Obviously drifted back some distance from the offside position, but Burn with perhaps another moment to regret for Newcastle. Opportunities have been fleeting, but there have been a couple.
There have been a couple. Obviously the Isak volley in the first half, but opportunities to shoot and strike. Again, in these conditions, you've seen what's happened with the two Bernardo Silva strikes deflected in the back of the net. I think Burn should be brave enough to take that on.
As you may well be aware, you can usually rely on the elements in Manchester to produce a bit of rain during the course of any given day. It's actually a particularly bitterly cold morning in the northwest of England.
Well, coming to the hour mark, substitutes warming up.
Ortega sufficiently assured there. And there might be a sense in Newcastle's mind that there's a little more joy potentially there for them with Ederson not able to be involved.
Yeah, but a fine stop from the Isak shot in the first half from Ortega.
Well, yeah, they used to be the things we talk about goalkeepers.
Making saves, yeah, rather than playing as sweepers and giving possession away with a poor pass.
Foden.
And just looking at the two benches, you can see that the luxury, I would say, that Pep Guardiola has. Stones, Ake, Grealish, Alvarez. Oscar Bob, who scored the winning goal in the league game, could be brought in. And young Rico Lewis. Whereas I'm not so sure that Eddie Howe's bench can impact the game that dramatically to turn this FA Cup tie around.
Well, the one thing you would say, well, he has an embarrassment of riches, and you'll include Matheus Nunes, who's the quickest player apparently at Manchester City. We see Miguel Almiron warming up there. Newcastle don't have an out-and-out front man really available to them on the bench. And Doku making the biggest impact, or the most opportunities inside the Newcastle penalty area to get a hold of the ball.
Yeah, I think he's been really bright and lively in that position that he's played in this evening. On the ball again. And probably not where we expected. Wide on the left, playing up against Murphy. Has come infield and has caused those three central Newcastle defenders real problems.
Oh, lovely bit of play. That was Ruben Diaz getting involved. Doku. Kovacic.
Dominating possession, controlling the game, Manchester City.
Walker. And Dubravka gets there. Needing the second bite of the cherry, but it's a crucial intervention from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, just does enough at full stretch from the Walker cross, gets fingertips to it, but then claims it.
Gordon fouled.
Yeah, caught by Rodri. Walker getting forward, just tries to stand this cross up to the far post for Haaland. And in the end, does well to grab it after the fingertips here. Has to dive at full length to deny Rodri.
Well, he had to get there, not once but twice. Well, here we go. A quadruple change for Newcastle United. Anthony Gordon the first to leave, and Miguel Almiron the first to come on. So Lewis Hall replacing Dan Burn on the left side. It's also game over for Sean Longstaff, who's carrying a foot injury at the moment. Lewis Miley, the breakthrough star really for Newcastle this season, a player whom they have to be careful with at his tender age. His talent prodigious.
Well, undoubtedly Eddie Howe feels he needs those fresh legs introduced. Almiron coming in on the left-hand side. Lewis Hall will be the left wing-back, but more offensive.
Header by Rodri. Anderson, Miley, Almiron and Hall on. Byrne, Longstaff, Willock
And Gordon.
and Gordon. I mean, it's a
Teamwork.
welcome.
We're helping each other there.
It's a welcome development for coaches who love the fact that they can make 5 changes, but I suspect the commentating fraternity are not quite as thrilled by it. Well, it's fallen Haaland's way.
Yeah, Foden just pinching the ball. Haaland attacking that Newcastle defence, and it's Shah across to make the block. Lascelles the one who's dispossessed. Haaland's on it quickly. Shah backing away, but just making sure he gets a block in.
Well, his appetite is not sated yet. I'm not sure it would be even if he got one. But it is Haaland who'll pick it up. It's Kovacic. Rodri. Bernardo Silva. Now Lewis Hall. Well, that could be a very good ball indeed. Almiron. A little bit of freshness.
Yeah, but the problem is now, because there's so many black and white shirts high up the field, if City play through you, all of a sudden, defensively, you can be exposed.
Well, it's a situation really that they simply have to live with if they are going to get anything out of this occasion other than harsh lessons.
Yeah, the next goal has to be Newcastle's if they have any hope.
Walker. A great urgency from Bruno Guimaraes. This is Almiron. Has options. Chance for Isak. Forced wider than he would have wished.
Oh, that's a big chance for Newcastle United. Brilliantly won back. Look at the 3 players surrounding Silva. Almiron comes out with the ball. Guimaraes supporting on the left, he wants it. Finds Isak, miscontrol. And almost the opportunity gone then. Kanji just defends it well. And he knows that's so frustrating. What an opportunity. Acknowledges the pass, Isak, but didn't get the shot away.
Let him down, but the delivery might help. And Botman coming in.
Well, there's been a response since the quadruple substitution from Newcastle.
Well, in the Manchester Merc, there are plenty who still can find their voice. They've travelled south from Tyneside. And if there is to be a repeat of their triumph in the EFL Cup this season, we're in for a very special final quarter.
It's going to be a miracle.
Newcastle's number and accuracy well short of the standard set by the treble winners. Foden.
Yeah, totally dominant in that respect. City's efficiency of passes, absolutely superb.
Forward by Murphy. Isak, a little more sure-footed on that occasion. Almiron. Miley. Guimaraes trying to drive them on. This is Anderson. A bit more energy to apply that pressure, but Haaland's stalking his prey. Bernardo Silva. Walker.
The 4 substitutions have given Newcastle a little bit of energy, but once City get back in possession of the ball, you can understand why there's no need really to take too many chances. We'll just slow the game down to the tempo that they want.
Bernardo Silva. Walker. Doku.
They almost rest with the ball, Dan. It's quite brilliant. They have possession of the ball, but they play at their pace. They play with the tempo that they want. It's almost everybody's taking a breather while they're in possession of the ball. It's fabulous to see. Great control to the game.
Kovacic. A bit of a starting gun for Doku there. Foden. Doku. Kovacic, will he be tempted?
No need, just keep the ball. 20, 25 passes in this spell of possession for City.
Foden. Walker. Well, dizzying and draining this for Newcastle.
It's demoralising as well, because even if you go and try and press the ball, when they move it, it goes away from you. You're almost reluctant to go after it a second time.
Rodri.
And there they are, Rodri, Kovacic, just making them tick. And a sloppy Foden pass gives it away, but look how quick they are to try to win it back.
It was something of a fight ball for Botman. Some good work there, and it's an opportunity for Murphy to move forward. Almiron making an angle for him. Anderson wants it. Takes it in well. He's got support from Lewis Hall. Guimaraes. Murphy might yet get in round the back. I think there was a sense that Miley couldn't have touched that ball because he drifted offside.
Yeah, they worked the ball to Guimaraes. He's trying to just feed it on the angle in behind Gvardiol. In the end, the goal kick given. It's a tough position to be in, trying to turn round a 2-0 deficit against the treble winners from last season, the FA Cup holders.
Ortega a little loose, but no harm done. Well, by exceeding expectation, they've created extra expectation. Eddie Howe, Jason Tindall, Graham Jones and all of the Newcastle coaching staff. They can't, as they would see it, unleash the full power of the bulging wallet.
Yeah, restricted in that extent, and as you say, the expectations inflated, having qualified for the Champions League this season. The test that brings, the test that it brings to recapture the form that you had in the Premier League last season.
Interesting times for different reasons to last year for Newcastle. Here's Bernardo Silva. He'll be cut out by Fabian Schär, and battle on between Hall and Anderson. And Anderson has set Almiron away, but that's because he was offside. He had that little bit of latitude.
Yeah, a couple of yards offside, Almiron.
Pretty admirable record in the FA Cup, but he's without a goal in 6 at the minute in the FA Cup competition. Indeed, without a goal in a little while in the competition. Guardiola. Foden had the freedom of the city.
Yeah, frustrated Phil Foden that Guardiola from the left side didn't find him.
Isak secures the foul. Tug of the shirt.
Well, he's been a willing runner, Isak. From the touchline, skips inside Akanji. He pulls his shirt back and wins the free kick.
Well, this opens the door a fraction. Just a shaft of light here for Newcastle. Manchester City will make a change shortly. Almiron will leave it for Bruno Guimaraes. And Haaland, who's a handy player to have in your own penalty box, able to defend it. And very cool play there by Kyle Walker.
Yeah, he's detailed to defend those near post areas. Here's Erling Haaland, and he does a really good job there for City. Kindness personified from Kyle Walker. And Haaland now picking it up from his goalkeeper. The confidence just oozing through this Manchester City side.
We'll get it back from Kovacic here, able to hold off Schär.
Oh, he's flattened Schär, or it seemed as if he run past him. Schär hit the deck. There's a finger in the eye.
Just what you need on a wet night. So the change comes. Oscar Bob will replace Jeremy Doku.
I think he's had a good night, Doku. In a different role, been very lively and effective for Manchester City.
Newcastle contingent will not be especially grateful to see him.
Well, yeah, after a wonderful goal he scored in the league game. Brilliant De Bruyne pass, sensational footwork from Oscar Bob to score the winner against Newcastle in the league.
That at St James's Park marked a return to Premier League action for Kevin De Bruyne after a season disrupted by injury.
A pass only he could have made. Sensational pass, but brilliantly finished by young Oscar Bob.
Who's thriving in exalted company. He benefited from a huge deflection in round 3 against Huddersfield, Oscar Bob. It was a real canter in the end against a team with terrific history, but a team currently struggling at the foot of England's second tier. And it's been all Premier League opposition since then. And there is the prospect that there may be more Championship opposition on the way. I mean, we can talk about Coventry. Leicester also in 6th round action tomorrow at Chelsea.
Oh yeah, the Championship giving a good account of themselves. Obviously a sensational Coventry result to take them into the semi-finals. Leicester with the possibility tomorrow.
A tie that will bring back a few good memories for the followers of the Foxes.
And you never know the way the draw goes, if it's Manchester United or Liverpool against Manchester City, Coventry or possibly Leicester in the other semi-final will feel they have the opportunity to go to Wembley a second time to a final.
Elliot Anderson.
Yeah, caught Rodri. Well, certainly the one thing Pep Guardiola would want now is any injuries to any of his players with the run-in that they're about to face. Real Madrid in the Champions League quarter-final. The race for the Premier League as well. But the treble is still on.
The next 2 home games in the Premier League against Arsenal and Aston Villa. Bob stealing that one. Murphy stole it back.
Yeah, does well in the end, Murphy.
He embroidered the game at Stamford Bridge with a wonderful goal on Monday night, which in the end was no more than beautiful consolation. His brother played for Oxford the following night and they were on the end of a 5-0 drubbing, so it's been a mixed week for the family. Who have Newcastle in the blood despite their London origins. Family roots on Tyneside. This is Bob.
And this is real control from Manchester City.
Haaland. Bob. Haaland. Can he pick his way through or power his way through?
Well, it's brilliant. Away from almost at walking pace, they up the tempo. Great interplay between Bob, Foden and Haaland. Fires it into Haaland, into Foden. Little touch, plays it into Haaland, who tries to just go round the outside of Lascelles, and in the end, it's Botman that gets the block.
Sprawling Botman. And perhaps a struggling Botman too.
I think it's a very weary Botman, Lascelles and Shah.
Well, he had such a marvellous season last year, Sven Botman. This one has had a few more bitter tastes to it. Haaland coming in. It was well defended on that occasion. Offside there against Gvardiol.
Who's looked very accomplished again, back in that left-sided position for Manchester City.
Emil Kraft is going to come on.
Botman making way.
Substitution for Newcastle United, putting off number 4, Steve Botman, and replaced by the 17, Emil Kraft.
Player who knows all about injury, heartache, serious knee injury last season. This is Bob. Haaland, oh, he'll escape his clutches. Lewis Hall was at least present and correct there.
Yeah, he did enough. Lewis Hall coming in from that left wing-back position, just a step across Erling Haaland.
He's another who's been lured by the by the project, but also by the family connections to the northeast. Lewis Hall. That just emphasises the paucity of threat from Newcastle, the dominance of Manchester City, but they might have an opportunity here until Ruben Dias shuts the door.
Yeah, pretty emphatic, the opportunity, 16-2 from Newcastle. Maybe more to come.
And Haaland had just thought perhaps it wasn't going to come.
He checked his run just to try to stay on side, wanted Foden just to ease that into his path. Checking his run, he couldn't get onto the through pass.
Murphy to drift inside. Bruno Guimaraes was able to pick a pass in those situations. Had a touch of urgency about it from Rodri, without him ever looking unsettled.
No panic from Kovacic as well.
Well, Haaland is not going to have much time to get his goal because they're preparing the introduction of Julian Alvarez, Manchester City.
Yeah, I think Pep Guardiola feels the job's done. Doesn't want to take a risk now with Erling Haaland. He probably won't enjoy coming off. As a striker, you want to score. You feel that there's an opportunity, or maybe one more opportunity here this evening. Be interested to see by his reaction.
Well, he was happy enough with Kevin De Bruyne's reaction last weekend when he was none too pleased to be withdrawn.
I think as a manager, it is what you want, but perhaps you don't want it seen public.
Yes.
Publicly, I should say.
Walker looking to move in field and make a decent angle there for Rodri.
Well, here we go.
Well, having helped dismantle Luton with an emphatic personal performance, he leaves the stage still with a few twinges in his belly tonight. Erling Haaland, Julian Alvarez, the more than able deputy.
Yeah, Alvarez, who's had an outstanding season himself. ...16 goals, 13 assists from Alvarez. It's not a bad substitute to introduce.
Well, how many teams would he be the number one in? Julian Alvarez in the Premier League. This is Miley. Lewis Hall.
Well, Newcastle looking weary now, looking defeated, I have to say. It's been an outstanding City performance.
So far from a frustrated Bruno Guimaraes.
There's a really frustrated Eddie Howe.
He looks almost crestfallen, really.
Well, there haven't been too many opportunities, but they have had what I would consider decent chances.
I mean, I suppose when you look, if you're looking beyond the Isak one in particular, but they've had chances to make chances, haven't they?
Exactly, opportunities. You say they're in opportunist situations that they haven't capitalised on. You cannot afford to pass those situations up. Not against Manchester City.
Well, they might be able to end on a note of defiance, but Akanji efficient as ever.
Brilliantly, the way they play out, and they're out again. 3 against 2.
And it's Foden, fed by Bernardo Silva. And in the end, it just got away from him.
Yeah, uncharacteristic from Foden. One touch too many. Well, this FA Cup tie has flowed, and I don't think there'll be too much overtime. Oh, bloody hell's hit the deck. Looks like he's going to pick himself up.
City anthem filling the Manchester air, or at least the spaces the rain isn't taking up. This is Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden. Minimum of 3 added minutes. Kovacic. Kyle Walker. Alvarez. And Kovacic and Rodri, metronomic, economic, hugely influential and effective.
Yeah, especially in the latter stages of this game. They have completely controlled the tempo in which it's been played. Pep Guardiola on his way to Wembley again.
It's a habit he won't tire of, that's for sure. A club that have set new standards for themselves in his time at the helm, setting a new standard in the FA Cup with their presence in the last 4 again.
Can't quite think of a treble just yet, I don't think. Real Madrid quarter-final, semi-final at Wembley in the FA Cup, and a 3-horse race for the Premier League. So still a lot to be done by Manchester City, but with this group of players, they certainly are capable. A double treble, absolutely extraordinary.
Foden, Kovacic, and Foden is caught, and it will be a booking.
Almiron.
It's not going to be a massive factor in proceedings. I'm sure right now The whistle will be blessed relief for Newcastle. This is Foden, Bob.
Yeah, the only way I can describe it is a Manchester City performance that has been commanding. Dominant in possession.
The holders carve another niche in FA Cup history. Pep Guardiola's team claim a place in a sixth successive semi-final at Wembley. That is a new record. And while the finishes were not emphatic from Bernardo Silva, the win was.